How you doing, Steph?
Morning, Righty. How are you?
Morning. Really good. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Crossways. Yeah, I'm good, to be honest, Steph. Steph, I think I just lied there. You know, when you're on autopilot and you just say, I'm actually not good with the current plight of my teams and the pressure that's coming with that. So
yeah, there's a lot of pressure on Arsenal Football Club at this moment in time.
Yeah, and I've got to say, and my five-a-side team lost again. So I'm learning football management the hard way. But like in respects of results and performances, what I've seen with Arsenal at the moment, and we'll start with Arsenal. I just feel quite worried. And I feel worried for both teams. Obviously, I feel more worried for the ladies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I went to the Villa game the other day, and I know we had changes. So was it Lotta, Katie Reid, Palova, Kyra came in. I knew that was going to be a bit disruptive, but I didn't expect it to be as lack of intensity. And I know they're tired. I know but that's what happens, Steph, and you can be testament to that. At this stage of the season, when you're in competitions, big competitions, this is where you hope that the squad can help out. And this is where you have to dig deeper and find a bit more. And at the moment, you know, watching that Villa game and then obviously Brighton yesterday, you know, it's a bit worrying because let's face it, Barcelona's on the horizon.
It is worrying in the sense of, I don't think you guys have played necessarily bad, but I think this is when you reach the highest of highs. You've got to a Champions League final, and that's what football's about. That's why everybody loves it so much, is that you do get them highs, but ultimately it's like for those players that are able to kind of stay in that middle where they know that they can switch on to Aston Villa away. And I think for me, that one can be kind of like pushed to the side in the sense of, it's two days later. But I think the performance against Brighton and conceding another 4 goals is, I know that we were in the group chat and we were chatting, and I think obviously you look at the keeper that we have always kind of brings Zinsberger up, but I think there's a bigger thing to conceding them goals. I don't think it's necessarily just one person's fault. I think it's how expansive you guys are, but also a lot of the goals came from a turnover, and that's what Brighton's strengths were. They had pace up top. I mean, especially the 4th goal. I think that ball over the top of and Katie McCabe can't get round. If she fouls her, it's a pen. She's off. So it is a bit worrying. But I think for me, I think there's no better place to be in than now playing against Manchester United at the Emirates at the weekend.
Well, to be honest, I know we might as well speak United now. I like Man United's aggressivity at the minute.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were really aggressive against you guys, and you know what I mean? It seemed like they started out to do that. And then even when Eva Mannion came on, it's like she came on with a job to do, just rough everyone up. And I saw it when, I think, I've never seen Alex Greenwood react like that, you know? And I think that she was getting a little bit, not flustered by it, but like it was annoying because I think the referee could have done a little bit more to say, calm down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've got my eye, and to the point where Alex kind of like shoved her in the back. And I thought, that is the game I think that Mark Skinner wants them to play. That's the game.
And they've done that all
season,
game. Right? Yeah. I think if you watch a lot of the games, I think in terms of Manchester United's style of play, it's not really, it's a bit of a hybrid in the sense of they are very physical, but also they can play. Whereas you look at, say, the likes of Arsenal, Manchester City, even Brighton to an extent, they like to play through the thirds, and Chelsea's a little bit in between as well. But I think first half, I was happy with our performance. I think we really took the game to Manchester United. I think they couldn't really cope. I think it helps when you've got the likes of Lauren Hemp back. You've got Alex Greenwood with that experience. Yui Hasegawa and Alexandri were brilliant in that midfield. And I think when we were on top, we didn't take them chances. But Man United are clever, and you see them at corners. I think Grace Clinton's very good at blocking, trying to nudge people. And that continued throughout the whole game. And when we lost a little bit of legs and we didn't really have that kind of final bit when they went down to 10 players, it was disappointing. But I think for me, like Manchester United, in terms of consistency, have produced every single weekend, barring maybe 1 or 2. So I think that's what will be an interesting game, because a Champions League spot is obviously secure for both teams. But ultimately, you'd want to finish in that second place now if you could, because it prolongs your pre-season.
With the team what played against Brighton, the biggest worry was that probably is a team without Zinsberger in goal. that might start against Barcelona. And like, if she's going to go close to the team that's going to start against Barcelona, against United, I just want to see something. You know, I want to see something that going into a game against Barcelona, you need to see something, because we saw what this Barcelona team can do to teams. We saw that even go back to the Chelsea final in 20 minutes. And if Arsenal, like you mentioned, the goals that they gave away in respect of the turning over of possession is if we're saying that that's what Brighton want to do, and that's how they want, then what do you think Barcelona are going to do? And they're going to do it better. So that's the worry. And then with Man United, the thing I'm worried about, can we match their intensity now? Because I think that Man United, the fact that they've qualified for the Champions League, brilliant for them, especially the way their season started. They finished really, really well. They will be coming there buoyed. They'll be coming there looking to make a statement about themselves, because that's what they look like they did.
The corner as
exactly,
well.
Steph. You know, we're talking about a dangerous team now for Arsenal, and it's going to be a massive test for Arsenal's mentality and their physicality, if I'm going to be totally honest, because in the last two games, I don't care who you are, as an Arsenal fan, as optimistic as you are, those two games are worrying. They were worrying.
Yeah, they are worrying. I think for me, it's just the number of goals. I think you can kind of get away with a bit of a lackluster performance, but I think still you have the quality in terms of a team and defensively wise of players that are able to not concede 4 and 5. I think 9 over 2 games is not acceptable. I think Rene had a really good interview yesterday, and I think it's about restarting now. And I think for me, the strongest team has to play against Manchester United. There's too much at stake, regardless of qualifying for European competition, because a lot of those players are going to play in the Euros. How are you going to get their rest if you're going to go into the early qualifying rounds? It's big. And to be in that second place is important. But I think for both teams, I think you look at them, and I think rightly so, they should have qualified for Champions League. They were the better team. They were better than Manchester City, and we were the closest team to them. But I think for me, that Barcelona game is massive. And defensively, there's got to be a different way of approaching that game, because you have the best players in the world that are going to potentially cause problems.
You know something, again, I don't want to be like doom and gloom over it, and I'm not going to, because you have to be looking forward to that, and you have to excuse them to a certain extent that will be on their minds. You know, I think what's the last time was 2000. Yeah. So that is on their minds with what Arsenal are trying to do. Obviously, trying to win the league, and Chelsea doing that, romped it again. But you know, that's 6 now. So this is in those girls' careers now. This is it. This is the game. And you're going up against arguably one of the best women's teams I've ever seen in a final that everything in their season depends on winning that trophy.
That's why I think this game on Saturday is so important to you guys, because I think it means something.
Yeah.
I think if you were playing a team that wasn't really fighting for anything, but this is actually, there's a bigger prize in the sense of that going into a later qualification of the Champions League, but also you're playing at the Emirates, the last game in the WSL season. I think for me, it's a perfect game, right? As a player, I'm thinking, how would I feel right now? I'm like, right, okay, them 2 performances weren't good enough, but we've actually got a chance to put it right. But also, that's the last game before you just play the Champions League final.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we really need to get something out of that. Otherwise, I think people will really worry. But just quickly on Man United, before we move on, I've got to say, I'm looking forward to seeing them in the Champions League. I'm looking forward to someone like Grace Clinton being in Champions League now, playing at that level, because she's somebody that I've really admired for a long time, you know, in the way that she's played. And seeing her with the way she bursts into the box, the way she breaks up play, the way she wins duels, I think she's just got to add assists to her game. And I think I think at the moment she's probably the best midfielder in the league, alongside
in form,
in form, and that, you know, in respects of her consistency as well. So I'm really pleased for her in that respect. You know, I'm pleased for Man United, because we're starting to see moves where something's happening. You know, I gave them a bit of stick about like how much the club doesn't care, but like the manager seems to have got them going. That's just for starters, in the way that they're playing so aggressively, and so I like Turland. I think she's a very, very good number 9.
Yeah, she's a
Obviously,
handful.
Ella Toon. You know, I do feel that defensively they're going to need to do a bit more, maybe especially left back.
Yeah.
I think that you could get. I think Gabby George can be got to. I'm not sure how fit she is coming off of that really bad injury she's had, because I remember how great and sharp and quick she was at Everton. So maybe she just needs to maybe have a little bit more rest so she can get her body fully back, because I don't think we're seeing the
A
Gabby
really good
George. Yeah, we're
pre-season,
not.
yeah.
And I think that hopefully she'll have that, and then she can prove her worth, because at the moment I think she's a little bit of a liability over there. That's why probably they took her off. But again, you know, we got to mention City, and just quickly how it must be disappointing, especially going 2-0 up, and you know, and playing so well up to that point, you know. But like when Empo goes, you know, I mean, I did feel for you guys a bit, but at the same
No, I
time,
think for us, we have no excuses,
yeah,
righty. I think in terms of, injuries to key players has really kind of stifled how we've done this season. And
yeah,
it's a season where you can look back and be always like, what can be better? But
yeah,
ultimately, we finished fourth for a reason. And now that's the club and the staff and the players to really come back into the next pre-season
yeah,
and be looking to know what it means to play for the club. And the success that we've had, especially in them first 8 years, has
yeah,
been unbelievable. But the last 3 or 4 years is not acceptable. I think we want to be competing for trophies as much as we possibly can. And
mm,
I think for me, even though it hurts, I mean, on that sideline was frustrating in a Manchester derby. It felt like a loss because we don't get Champions League football. But
mm,
for me, could this be seen as more of a positive in the sense of we have to reset, we have to get a new manager in, whoever that might
yeah,
be, but also we have to plan for if them key injuries happen, and that might be harder to attract players. But ultimately, if you want to play for a big club. Manchester
yeah.
City is one of them, and hopefully we can get back in track. But yeah, it hasn't been what is expected of the club, that's for sure.
You see, when you talk about the players and that, obviously they're going to have to sort the manager out sooner rather than later, because you've got players like Shaw and Miedema and Hemp,
Yeah.
Greenwood, Hasegawa, all those kind of players. No, with no Champions League, they'll be thinking about that. So, can you see? I don't want to go too deep into what you lot are going to do, but those players are solid, right? They want
Yeah.
to, yeah, because that's the main thing. Because
I
Man
think
City,
like there's
and
only Alexandri, which she's
yeah,
obviously out of contract in the summer, which don't know what's going to happen there. But I think for me, I think you've got obviously the skipper in Alex, you've got Hempel that's
mm,
committed, and you've got the likes of Bunny and Yui that are
mm,
real key important players. And also you add a little bit of Miedema, you've got the future in
mm,
Jess Parks, Kirsten Kasperai. There is the spine of the squad is still going to be there. And I think for me, as someone that loves the club so much, it's like,
mm,
okay, we need to find the right people that are there for the right reasons. And
mm,
missing out in Champions League for 1 year,
mm,
we can't miss out another year
yeah,
after this
yeah.
one. We really can't. And that's what we should be kind of aiming towards. And
You know what's really sad about everything, when a team gets the injuries that you get? It's like it's the same for some reason, because people say things like, "Yeah, well, everybody gets injuries." When you get injuries to players that are integral to what you're actually trying to do for the season, of course you want to try and give them rest and rotate. But when those players are out for serious amount of time, why do people feel it's some excuse that you're saying, well, the injuries have cost you?
yeah, they
You
have.
know,
And I think you look at how we score, righty, as well. Like Bunny's obviously a
yeah,
key player. I think if you want a goal, you can throw the ball in the box because physically she's able to compete at that
yeah,
level, because in terms of even just her height, but also she's a great header of the ball. So there's another way of scoring. But
mm,
I think for me, I think this is like just thinking about in the bigger picture. We have
mm,
to be able to think about what happens if Bunny can't play.
yes,
What happens if Alex can't play because she might have a niggle for one game and we lose the captain? Who's going to bring that leadership? How we're going to develop? And it'll be interesting. And it's probably, to the Man City fans, I think it's all a bit little doom and gloom, which
yeah,
is rightly so, because they follow the girls around and the team around for years and years. But ultimately, sometimes this happens in football, that dominance kind of, aren't as dominant and you have to
yeah,
restart, you have to look forward and rebuild. And
yeah,
I think for everybody as well, I think it's not even just City, it's Arsenal, Manchester United. How do you stop that Chelsea dominance of 6 titles in a row?
Yeah.
Something has to be different.
Absolutely. I'm totally with you on that. That's why all those players, what I just mentioned, all those players stay with whoever the manager's going to come in. I know he's whoever she or he's going to be. You know what I mean? They're going to have to hit the ground running because City now, you know, we're talking about, 4 or 5 years now, not a proper Champions League. You're a Champions League club and you should be there. So all that needs to be sorted as soon as possible, Steph. So as then the players, once you do get back and now fit for pre-season, fingers crossed, they can really have a blast at the league and getting in, really have a blast at
look
Chelsea.
at Man United this season, right? They didn't have Champions League and look where they've got to. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. That's why it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them now they get Champions League.
Yeah. And the players that they're going to potentially attract now, and how do you keep them happy? But I think, like, moving on to Chelsea, I think rightly so, deserved WSL winners again.
I know.
Again, righty. Yeah. But you know what it is? I just love the fact that Chelsea just never settle.
No.
Regardless of what they win, how many trophies they win, players that they have, they always kind of try and raise the bar every year. And I think in terms of what they invest, but also not just off the pitch, but obviously on the pitch, they bring the players that they need to keep continuing to compete.
I think once Chelsea have a proper, because this is Sonia's first season, obviously, and just won the league, which Chelsea are expected to do. If they keep all those players fit, you could see more players coming into Chelsea because, like you say, Chelsea don't stop. You know, I believe that Chelsea, even though they've won the league, they look like they're going to go unbeaten. They could still do the treble, I think, can't they? Mm-hmm. Is it the treble? They could still do the treble, but there's something in them knowing that their Champions League performance this season will be majorly disappointing. Because they win the league they win the league all the time. So, of course, they're happy to do that. But deep down, they'll be thinking, we didn't do ourselves justice in this Champions League this season. And I'm sure they will be coming back even stronger.
That's what I mean. They're not going to sit there and go, okay, we might potentially have won 3 trophies. They're going to be like, okay, why didn't we do this? Because you think even their forward line, righty, like as soon as Sam Kerr's back, you've got Sam Kerr, you've got Ramirez, you've got Aggie Beaver-Jones, you've got Fischl, you've got Macario, like...
Kenya Reid,
how do you keep them happy? But also that's a squad that you need to play Champions League. And the biggest thing for me is that Chelsea never slip up against the teams that are below them in the sense of they never go to Everton away and slip up. They always go to Arsenal, Man United, Man City, the top teams and perform. And they could potentially break the record points in the WSL if they win, which... Does that say more about Chelsea or does that say more about the competitiveness of the league?
You know something? Obviously, it does say a lot about Chelsea, but like I said, my sentiments on Chelsea is continue, keep spending money on your women's team, make them the best, blast people out of the water so as they have to raise their game as well. But like what I'm seeing, again, like I said, with City, depending on how quickly they can get a manager that's going to come in and hit the ground running. Same with Arsenal. Arsenal, for me, they've got a lot to do for me in respects of turnaround of team and intensity of team and depth of squad. You know, you have to look at all of those things. Hopefully, all of those teams will try and do a lot better in respects of their recruitment and everything that they're doing to push Chelsea harder. They need to be pushed harder because, like I said, it was done in January. And and hats off to Chelsea. That, you know what I mean? The mentality is so strong in that team. But I think that they're, apart from United, City will be disappointed. But at the same time, the injuries have cost them. Arsenal, I just think that it's the depth of squad now. We need a bit more to be able to really challenge in the WSL because I think that teams will be stronger next season. And it's going to be interesting to see United in the Champions League and how they do that.
Everybody will be stronger as well, won't they? Because you look at Brighton. Brighton in terms of their plans of how they're going to get their own stadium for the women's team. They're going to improve the training ground. Obviously, the way that they are doing it is similar to the men's instead of using stats to kind of invest in players. But you look at Brighton's performance yesterday and they can go toe-to-toe with the best. And I love the fact that they knew their identity of what they need to do against you guys because they're not trying to be someone that they're not. They knew that they had pace up front, they had people that could finish, but also they were really aggressive, pressing from the front and when the ball was in their mid-third. So I don't know. I'm excited for next year. Chelsea. I'll be interested to see Chelsea's style of play next year, because after another year under Sonia, does she turn to more playing through the thirds a little bit more with the likes of Kira and using her ability?
Yeah.
But,
because I think that, mentioning Kira just quickly, I think we're going to need to see a lot more, and that's because maybe they don't play through there as often as I thought they would. But then once you put Kira under pressure and Kira can't get her head up, the Chelsea are a different entity. It's the same for England.
It takes time though, doesn't it, to kind of play that way? I think. Speaking of Kira, when we were at Manchester City, but also what you see I do for the Lionesses and Barca, they have a specific way of playing to allow the better players to get on the ball. Chelsea got that balance yet? Probably not. But I think for me, next year, there's no doubt that Sonia, because she's played in there, she'll try and influence the team in that sense of getting better players on the ball and being a little bit more intricate with the play.
Can I just say, just on a parting shot with Arsenal and Barcelona coming up, I'm just going to say those two games, and I'll say maybe, like, you're right, Steph, we put Villa to the side, but that game against Brighton should give them a taste of what it's going to be like for a team that know their strengths and can play at a very high level and a high tempo. So Arsenal, I'm just hoping that they can get their mindsets into that. Otherwise, it could be a very, very tough day for them. I hope they're saving something, Steph. I hope they're saving something, because, like, what I saw in those two games.
I hope for this podcast's sake that we're saving something, because this will be cancelled.
Oh my gosh. I do hope they're saving something, because it's a big game for them, and I really hope they can pull it off. Same with the men, to be honest.
You've got experienced players in the righty. You've got the likes of Kim, you've got the likes of Leah, you've got Caldenti that's been there, won it with these guys. So I do feel as though, like, this is just a little bit of a blimp, but I think the telling game is this one against Manchester United. I think that will tell you everything in terms of approach and mentality, but I can see them both kind of playing their strongest teams because there's so much at stake.
Well, we'll see how that one goes. Steph, we've got to talk about and congratulate the London City Lionesses.
Yeah, we do, don't we?
Birmingham and Lionesses. What a good game. What a good game.
Great game.
It was so end-to-end. You know what? I haven't seen a game like that, too many games like that in the WSL. These two teams, with what was on the line, they went for it, Steph. It was a brilliant, brilliant game to watch.
What a great first goal as well.
Oh my gosh, Isabel Goodwin.
Yeah.
I'm so looking forward to see her. Do you see how aggressive and how hard she runs, how good she finishes?
Yeah, she was. I've not really seen much of her this season, but that game then I was like, oh my God, what a strike.
Who is she? When she cut in, I was like saying, okay, because remember, she's like the top scorer in the league. So I was thinking, okay, let's see what she's about in a big game, because this is a massive game. Honestly, work off the ball and then her finish and the amount of harassment she gave to the defenders. And with the fact that we're dealing with totally women-owned like football club with Michelle Kang, what they're coming in to do, they will spend money. They will spend money. They will do it properly. I am so excited for that team coming into the league.
I loved her interview. Did you see it, Righty?
I didn't see the interview.
She was basically kind of explaining that they're an independent team. They've obviously invested for 1 year, but the investment was that if they did get promoted into the WSL, that they would be able to compete mid-table. And she's like, we don't kind of stop there. And she's like, I've tried to prove that you don't have to have the backing of your men's club to be successful in these leagues. And I absolutely love that. I think for me, it just shows that with that investment, that kind of desire and love of the
belief,
game.
And belief.
Yeah, exactly. And produce a game like that. And like London City Lionesses and Birmingham are probably different ends of the spectrum. Birmingham have history in the sense of they've been in the WSL, they've been backed by the men's team, but they've also been let down by the men's team. So they've been on their individual journeys. But I think, like, you look at some of the players that they've recruited to play in the WSL Championship. You look at Aslani, Swedish, Jakobsen. Who else was there that was playing? You've got Megan Campbell, Georgia Bourne, that have got experience. You've got Kumagai, who's won Champions League, one of the best players in the World Cup previously. So to be able to attract that caliber of player is impressive, and it just shows that they are building something special.
I'm so pleased for them, and I'm pleased that they are the front runner in women's football teams and ownership, the front runner. Because like you rightly mentioned there, teams are backed by the men's, and you don't know, you're hanging by a string with the men's. So to be able to have your own football club, which obviously they moved away from Millwall, to have your own football club run by yourselves, you are totally in control of what's going on. No one above you can say, like, well, we can't do this and we can't give you that because of this.
Yeah, like a second thought.
Exactly.
Yeah. That investment is crucial. And I think for me, it's that bigger interest because you are solely invested in one club. Yeah. I think when you're in a men's club environment, it's obviously sometimes you don't have that control. You're speaking about control and you don't have control over making the decisions. Yeah. What the training ground's going to look like, when you're going to play, where you're going to play. But for me, I think Michelle Kang, she's got history. She majority owner of Washington Spirit, Leon, who have been so successful over a long period of time. And you know what is right? It's just really refreshing. We've had so many conversations on here about what the WSL is going to look like, but how good is it that they got promoted? Yeah. I think we are so big on in terms of the league staying the same format and sense of relegation and promotion, because I think that's what will allow more investment into the game by having that little bit of a carrot to go, actually, you're going to get into the WSL if you do invest properly and you get the best players. So that'll be an interesting transfer window for them, won't it? I
know. Because I'm like, you look at it, you can see.
I might put the boots back on, actually.
Get yourself down here, Steph. You can see that team getting really good players, getting exciting players. I could see it because you could get the energy. I could feel the energy of the team, the way they played with the energy they had. I thought both teams, Birmingham and
even
Lionesses,
that last 10 minutes, right? He was nervous. Man, I was nervous for them, to be honest.
I was nervous for them because you know what? I think obviously I'm delighted for the Lionesses, the London City Lionesses to go up, but I really do hope that Birmingham don't drop off and they come again, because I feel that they themselves have got something to offer. I thought the way they played with energy, with pace, making chances, getting themselves back into the game.
We don't see them games enough now, do we?
You don't see them. It was an enjoyable game to watch. I love the celebrations.
It reminds us of Barca and Inter the other day when they were in the Champions League. Honestly, they were just like, okay, you attack, I attack, whatever it might be, was and brilliant. Whoever scores.
It was two boxers getting into the middle of the ring and just slugging. It was these two teams. What I loved about it is that what was on the line, they both went for it. You could see how much they wanted it. I was so sad to see some of the Birmingham players crying, but you know what it means to them. You know what it means to them. So they've got to dig in and go again. But honestly, London City Lionesses, congratulations. Look forward to seeing you. So, Steph, predictions. So
it's nervous. 1 week to go.
I really need a big one. I need a big prediction week. I really do. Okay, so what are the scores for the predictions up to this point, Steph Houghton?
Right, okay. I'm on 110 and Ian is on a big comeback of 100. Yay! So 10 points in it with 1 game week to go.
Okay, I'm going to...
You've done well there. I'm disappointed in myself.
You see, I've just gone to pure heart, not head.
No, I went heart as well last week and I don't know why I did that.
Because I've got a couple of points back, I think it's gone to my head, but I'm going to go with my head. Right?
Okay, then Arsenal, Manchester United, what are you saying?
Oh, God, my mouth was going to say something, but I changed. You know what? The way Man United played the other day and what they've just achieved and the way Arsenal played the last couple of games, I'm going to probably have to go for a Man United win here. I think they might beat us 2-1 or something. I don't like going against my team, but I have to be... I'm going with my head. I'm being very pessimistic. But I feel that Man United might beat us, but I just want, like I said earlier on, I want to put in the kind of performance that I said, okay, I'm happy with that going to Barcelona, but...
Now you're just toying with yourself.
I'm going to go with Man United beating us 2-0. No, 2-1. 2-1, I said.
I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal.
Fingers crossed that you get this one right, Steph. So go on, Villa Brighton. What a good game. What a good game this should be. I've seen both of these two.
Very good. Villa have
Really
really
picked
picked
up.
up over these last few weeks and scoring goals. That change of systems
God, they
definitely
look so
helped, I
sharp.
think. And also pace up
Chastity
front.
Grant,
The likes of Grant,
gosh, they
Salmon.
look so
Wow.
lethal.
You know what? I'm gonna go 2-2
You know what? I'm going to go 3-2 Villa. Yeah, I'm going to
to
go
Villa.
3-2 Villa.
Yeah. Chelsea, Liverpool.
I'm going to go Chelsea 3-0.
Yeah, I'll go 2-0.
Yeah, because you can't copy.
I
I
didn't. I
think
said
that's.
two.
I haven't even given Liverpool a goal here, but I think Chelsea might go right. Let's really finish strong. Come on.
Yeah, and they're
Yeah.
lifting the trophy, so I do feel as though it's going to be a big
Okay.
game for them.
Everton, Tottenham.
Everton, Spurs.
I'm going Everton here.
No,
Yeah.
Everton have to win. They've been good
I'm
these
really
last few
pleased they've
games.
how they've gone. Everton 3-0.
I'm going to go 3-1.
They'll be missing Sarah Holmgard. I think they'll be missing her. So that's a big loss. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because she got sent
Mm.
off, didn't she?
Right. So Leicester City versus the form forward in the league, Martinez. Jeez.
Wow, she's and you know what? She scored a
Yeah.
header, didn't she? And, you know, and I think she can just score like all
She
different
looks
types of
unstoppable.
goals.
Yeah.
At the weekend.
I love the look of her.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with. I think she's going to get another few. How many goals is she behind in the Golden Boot now?
You know what? I actually wrote this down. So she's since Christmas, obviously, she's scored 9 goals, and Turlin scored 9 in a full season. Russo's got 12, and Bunny's got 12.
This is like
which is
Haaland,
impressive.
Messi, Ronaldo business. She's on. She's on a.
Mm-hmm.
She's on a real tear. And I fancy her to get a few goals in this game. I'm gonna. Is it you first or me first this time? You go on then.
Me first. I'll go
4-0.
3-0 West Ham.
4-0 West Ham.
Will you do the Okay, last one. Man City, Crystal Palace. I should just copy all your results, really, because
that
then
wouldn't
I'll
be
win.
fair, and that's not. You wouldn't be happy winning in that fashion.
No, it's
right.
Okay.
So City, Palace. I'm gonna go with City. I know it's a little bit of a disappointing end to the season, but they can finish on a high. Obviously, Palace are down, unfortunately. I'm going to go City 4-0.
I'm going to go 3-0.
You're going to go 3-0?
3-0, yeah.
Right. Right, let me see. Okay.
So really, it's all riding on the Arsenal-Manchester United game where I backed your team and you haven't.
I got to say as well, can everybody...
whilst wearing an Arsenal top.
But it doesn't mean I love them any less. It's just that I'm just... with my head, I hope my head's wrong, because it normally is. My missus always says that. Well, ask everybody, now that we've done the predictions, you can put your predictions up on the Spotify or YouTube. See if you do better than me and Steph as well. You know what we do?
Come on,
what
guys,
we'll do next season is that we'll start it from the start. We'll do every week, and then we'll see who beats us, and then we'll give them a mention, and that's so as we can see who's the best.
We should create a little league,
see who's top of the league, and then we mention it every week, I think.
And then maybe we should work together against
Wow, that'd be good, Steph. Maybe we should do that.
Rather than against them.
Yeah, we'll do that. And then we have to give them something. We have to give them something for winning or something. So we'll speak to...
Maybe they can come on one of the pods.
They can see they could come on a pod, come down to the Spotify building, check us out.
Yeah, let's do that.
Well, that's it then, Steph. What are you doing for the rest of the week?
Coaching.
What's it like, Steph, when you go in now? Because you have to get the girls up now, because it must be like, oh gosh.
It is on Sunday night. I felt like I'd played, and I don't know. It was probably felt worse than when I'd played because I had no control over it. So I think for me, it's been a good experience, just to be in and around it in a different capacity, but also I think, I don't know, just to be there for the girls when they've needed us in terms of that experience and stuff has been good. But I think for me, I bring energy. I want to try and bring positivity. So it's even more important ahead of Sunday that we get everybody up in a bit of an upbeat mood and look forward to what's next. But also, Ian, I've been practicing my golf.
Yes, because me too. I'm actually going to go and hit some balls when we finish here now, because I feel like I've got something.
You need to send a video
What I'll do is, I'll show you what's happening, because it's all about my takeaway. And I don't want to go too deep because people might not be interested in golf, but I'm really excited.
But we've got 5 months to be good.
Get it right, to play in that BMW. That's what we could do. Maybe, we could do that, Steph. Practice.
Yeah, we'll get on a
So
few
can you do me a favor and
practices,
say
yeah.
hello to Hempo? And I'd say to her, I'm so glad she's back.
I did. I
you
told
tell
her
her?
the other day. I said, you know what? Yeah, and she was like, well, hopefully I'm playing. I was like, well, there's no doubt you're going to be playing, so it'll be actually all right.
I'm so pleased to see her come on and then get her a little break. So nice one, Steph. Say hello to everyone for us, and
Okay.
make sure you say everybody else
You
said
too.
hello. Say hello to Bunny as well. Hopefully she's okay as well.
Yeah.
Take it
Fingers
easy,
crossed.
Steph.
So take
You're
care.
the best.
Everybody.
Bye.